Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Open Mic Live. It is Sunday, July 19th, and as always, each month is going by very fast. I don't know about how all of you, how you feel, but man, it is moving. A lot of different things going on, and as always, I'm excited for all of it. But like we always do, during Open Mic Live, we do roll call. Where are you watching from? Where are you at? But also, how are you feeling? How are you doing? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being shitty, 10 being awesome, how are you doing? I would say that I am probably coming in at a high 8. Way better than I have been, that's for sure. Because as you all know, as I explained last week during Open Mic Live, it was pretty crazy. A lot of stuff going on, but I've had a chance to chill. I've had a chance to relax and catch up on a lot of emails, a lot of notifications, a lot of different things that I've had going on um, because it was brutal, and I think it's mostly because of all the driving. I mean, I was basically in the car for 2 weeks driving and driving, and one of those trips was from Indiana to Florida, Florida to Indiana, Indiana to Michigan, Michigan back to Indiana, and then finally I was able to rest. Woo! Yeah. So I'm like I said, I'm definitely doing a lot better than I was. Um, nicely rested, ready for the week. Been working on a lot of different things. We've got the 10th anniversary of the I Am 911 movement coming up, and um, also, a lot of things with Imagine Listening. What I want to do, what I'm trying to do, is get Imagine Listening Volume 2 recorded and available by the 10th anniversary. That's what I'm trying to do. So, Lord help me, please, that I can get that done. I can get that in there. But not just that. Um, well, the other thing I've been teasing, I haven't put it out there yet, but I've been working on it, and you guys are going to dig it. One person has seen what I'm talking about. Actually, yes, 2 things. A couple different things that that I'm working on that, only 1 or 2 people know about, and I'm excited for all of it. And as soon as I am able to tell you about it, I will make sure to do so. So, a lot of announcements are gonna be coming up soon, so please make sure to look out for that. And I appreciate you, all of your support and everything as always. So many things going. We've got National APCO coming up as well. It's going to be in San Antonio, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be out there recording, doing on the spot interviews. I'm going to be helping out with a few things at the Rapid SOS booth, so make sure to go over there and check them out. And we'll be running some interviews and stuff. So hop over there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And like some of them will be, more serious questions, but the majority of them we're just going to be having fun because that's what it's all about. And that's what I want to do as well. So make sure to head over there and check us all out and what is going on. So in a few days, so when I got on, usually I start right at 9, but I started a little bit later because what I was talking about that I've been working on, I was working on it up until I went live to the point where I was just merely dialed in and I did not want to stop because I was on a roll. So I wanted to. keep going, but I knew I had to stop. A lot of episodes that are coming up as well. And tomorrow I have one that I'm recording, but then Tuesday, I think I have five in a row that I'm going to be recording. So a lot of amazing stories, a lot of great content, some returning guests, and like some of them are actually one of them I think is one, and the rest are brand new folks coming on for the first time on Within the Trenches podcast, and I'm excited for everybody to come on. So look out for that. But also this Wednesday, let me look at my calendar here really quick. I just want to double check, make sure. Yes. So this Wednesday is my dad's birthday, but not only is it his birthday, but it is also my anniversary of being out of dispatch. My anniversary, man. Woo! Yeah. It's it's still bittersweet in a way. There's a lot of stuff that was going on during that time, and I want to share some videos and stuff as I'm talking about this. Because when this happened, this is when I very first launched the podcast and everything that was going on. Excuse me. And I had a lot of eyes on what I was doing. And one of them was a company that's here out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, a 911 Solutions company. And they ultimately plucked me out of dispatch. And I've been on the private side or, on my own ever since as well. But, it all happened so fast. It all happened really fast. And Donna, what's going on? What's going on? So, I had launched everything, and this company comes out of nowhere. Not only do they help me with my Kickstarter, but they also pluck me out of dispatch. They offer me a job. But building up to that, I was also in I was in school, and I was finishing up my master's in new media journalism. Oh, Erica, what up, Nicole? What is going on? Hello, ladies. What are your numbers? Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being shitty, 10 being awesome. Where are you? How are you feeling? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. All right. I want to play this here because, again, this is just kind of a buildup. This is some of the stuff that was going on. What's up, dude? Dude? What's up, yo? This is all a buildup to what ended up ultimately happening. Donna says I'm a solid 8. Been very creative today. All right. All right. Hell yeah, dude. I like that. I like it. All right. Let me play this here really quick.
My name is Whitney Wilson. I've been a 911 dispatcher for 6 years, and I've spent the last 2 with Allegan County Central Dispatch. My job as a 911 dispatcher consists of both emergency and non-emergency telephone calls, officer safety caution, and we also run a lot of lean traffic, which would be your warrant checks, your driver's license status, and just other kind of background information on suspects or callers. The thing that interests me most about being a 911 dispatcher would have to be the fast pace of the calls. You can go anywhere from spending 20 seconds on the phone with somebody and having to put them on hold and take the next 911 call, or you could have a really in-depth call where you could be on the phone with a suicidal subject or somebody that may be lost and injured in a location that nobody can find for 20 to 50 minutes sometimes. I do the job that I do because it's something that not everybody can do. You have to be able to talk to a caller who's just woken up and their spouse is deceased next to them. You have to be able to talk to a mother and calm her enough to tell her how to do CPR on her own newborn child. And that's what makes me come to work every day, is knowing that I will be able to help somebody by the end of my shift.
So that's my homie Whitney. I was her supervisor back in the day when we were in dispatch together. And she was also my co-host for the podcast up till about episode 40 or something like that. And she's still there at Allegan and is the deputy director now. So her, my team, a lot of folks there in Allegan, they were very willing, and I will always be grateful. Thank you all very, very much. They were willing to help. And this was one of my projects. And I remember asking Whitney about it, and she goes like, "What do I need to do?" And I said, "Well," I said, I need to get some shots of you like working, some action shots, pointing at the map or, looking different things up, and I need you to type." And she goes like, "Really type?" And I said, "Well, yeah, yeah. I need you to type so that I can get like your hands and stuff." And what's funny is you see this video from back in 2013. And it might have been 2012 because my masters went from 2012 all the way to 2013. But either way, um, a lot of those shots and everything are shots that I still do, and I'm at different dispatch centers doing all kinds of stories and stuff. So it's it's cool to look back and see those and think about how everything was building up to where I end up leaving dispatch. Because again, this Wednesday, the 22nd, it's not only my dad's birthday, but it is my 13th anniversary of my last day in dispatch. Oh man, it is crazy to think that so like stories like that started going out. And I had already been sharing blogs and everything from my own stories that I was sharing, and things continuing to build and continuing to build. And then the podcast during the master's program, and stories like this with Whitney and a few others that I had. And it was so much fun to do it, and it was therapeutic, and people were learning. They were learning. There was nobody else doing anything like that at the time. I had a few, I had some friends on the private side that were doing a couple things. One person who was doing things more on like the tech side of things when it comes to 911, but nothing with dispatch stories. And, I've been doing it for over a decade now. And it's been one of the most amazing experiences ever. I love it. I love what I do. And I love that I get to continue to do it. And so as everything was building up, what Donna says, you are the OG. Oh, thanks. Thanks, my friend. I appreciate it. Yeah. You know, often imitated, never duplicated. Because you're not me. Sorry. Oh, man. So, one of the cool things building up from, everything going live, speaking imitated badly, Donna says. Yeah, yeah. Or, you've got you've got people who are claiming they're whatever they are. You have someone go in the comments to remind them, and then they delete your comment. That shouldn't happen to people. And that's not me. That was a friend of mine who ended up mentioning what I've been doing for over a decade, and then they deleted her comment. What the hell? Not cool, man. Not cool. So everything starts going live. 2013, I end up speaking at a Michigan conference. And at that conference, I end up hearing that I'm going to get to go to the national conference. And I've said this many times, but I'll say it again that when I was told I was going to get to go to the national conference, which that year was in Charlotte, North Carolina, it was it was really cool. But I remember when the guy ran up to me and he goes, "You're going to nationals." I said to him, "Cool. What does that mean?" Because I didn't know. Oh, happy 19th of July. There's fireworks going off right now. Well done, I guess. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's going they're going off right now. Um anyway, I I didn't know that organizations like Nina and APCO had a that they had a mothership. I didn't know there was a national conference. I thought everyone just had their own chapters like statewide. But nope, there was a national. And I was like, "Sweet, it's gonna be awesome." So I worked a one-to-one shift, and I drove straight from dispatch to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I drove all the way through, and it was crazy. Actually, I think I stopped at a rest area and slept for, like, an hour, but I kept I it wasn't even it was one of those where you, like, close your eyes and you open them right back up. I was like, "What happened?" And I take off to Charlotte, and it started such an epic, crazy road trip that it's one that I'll never forget because so many different things happened. So many different things happened while I was there. I remember when I made it. It was still early in the morning, and I had just a few hours before I had to go to the convention center so that I could set up for Nina's very first podcast zone. And it was gonna be myself and my buddy Mark Fletcher. Fletch, as they call him. And I get to my hotel, and as soon as I walk in, I see the girl on the other side of the desk looking flustered. She's on the phone. No, she's on hold. She's on the phone, and there is paperwork everywhere, everywhere, scattered all over the place. And I can already feel that something bad, like she's going to tell me something bad. And I walk up half awake, and she goes, "Sir, can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I wanted to see if I could check in to my room. I just drove straight here from Michigan, and I have just a few hours before I have to go and set up at this convention center and, like, record the rest of the day." And and she goes, "Honey, No one has a room right now. There's no reservations. Like everything got wiped out. Like the computer, I don't know what happened to the computer, but it got wiped out. And she goes, I can't look anything up. There's nothing I can do for you. I said, okay, well, I mean, I guess so where I was at, it was like a hotel bank. It was hotel after hotel after hotel. And because it wasn't far from the airport. So I go to try to find a different hotel and they had rooms, but they wouldn't let me check in until 3. And I had to be over there at I think it was like noon or something. And they said, "Yeah, there's nothing we can do." I was like, "Oh gosh, okay." So I end up going to the last hotel that was there to check because again, I was checking all of them, and it was a microtel. I don't even know if those are around anymore. Anybody know that? I don't know if they're around anymore, but it was a microtel. It's my last chance. I walk in, frustrated, tired, hungry, and I hear the lady on the phone, and she starts yelling at this person. But I walk up, and right as she's yelling, she goes, "I'll be right with you." And I said, "Okay, okay." And I'm 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 waiting, and she goes, "Listen, you were supposed to be here. You were supposed to be here at this hotel to relieve me, and you're at the other hotel? I don't care if they already put you to work. You're supposed to be over here. What am I gonna do now?" And so they're going back and forth, and she goes, "You know what? You call me back when you have a solution, when you have someone who is going to come to relieve me and take your spot." Hangs up on the phone and just, like, slams it, and I'm standing there, and she goes, "Now what do you want?" And I was like, I wanted to see if you have any rooms, and if you do, if I can please check in right now and go to the room and go to sleep. I just have a few hours before I have to be," so I explained, and she goes, "Honey, after what's been going on and everything, you can have whatever you want." And I was like, "Okay." And she hooked me up with the room, and she goes, "Have a good sleep." And I was like, "Hell yeah." And I go upstairs, but it was creepy, man. It was creepy because I go in that room, and I mean, it wasn't a bad looking room, but I have never been in a room where the mirror is right above the bed and it's like dark. It was the weirdest thing. And all I could think was somebody's sitting there watching me right now because this is some creepy shit. But at the same time, all I could think was, all you're going to see is me sleeping, bitch. So I was like, I am going to bed right now because I am dog ass tired. Somewhere in that time before I went to that microtel though. Oh wait, what? Nicole says someone was definitely watching you. Probably, dude. Probably. Sometime before I get to that microtel though, I did go to a Waffle House, and I think it was immediately after that hotel, the first hotel, the very first one where I was supposed to be checking in, and which was like a Night's Inn or something like that. And I go to the Waffle House, I have steak and eggs, and then I start searching. Oh wait, Donna says I stayed at a microtel in San Francisco once, and I'm pretty sure someone was murdered in that room. What? There was the weirdest blood stain on the ceiling and wall. Dude. Okay, so my microtel didn't have that, but the mirror was creepy enough. And I stayed there all week. I mean, it was like $70 a night. Super cheap. Not like the way it is now. But I end up crashing out. And I wake up a few hours later, shower up and everything, get some clothes on, and I when I pulled up the first time, the security guard was out there and was like, "You can't park here." And I said, "Well, everybody else is parking here and taking stuff inside." And he goes, "Yeah, no, you can't." Okay. So I go behind the convention center to where the parking garage is. But the amount of shit that I had to haul sucked. The second day, well, I guess the second day didn't matter because I was already packed up. But at the end of the day, I parked my ass up there. It was a different security guard. I just said I had clearance, which is what I should have said the first time. But man, it was this big ass trunk and a bunch of other stuff that I had so that I could, bring all of my stuff. It was crazy the amount of shit that I had back then. Now I can just record it on my phone or this little device that's like that big. But that time back then, it was a mixer about this big, man. 4 microphones, 4 big stands. Like that shit was heavy. And I get it over there, and so many different things happened during that time. I mean, the amount of people that I met, the amount of people that I had on the podcast doing little spot interviews while I was there, which if it wasn't for what I'm about to show you here in just a moment, I would never have any footage of that. So one of the things that happened while I was there was there was this like indie documentary crew, and they were filming this documentary. I think, oh man, what was it called? It shows up on the video here in a minute, but they were doing this documentary about how strangers find like such like the this odd connection between those that are in call centers, and it wasn't just 911. They just had a small little piece about 911. It's just like 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Like that's how short that part is. But they wanted to put it in there because they said it's kind of the same thing where there's this connection between strangers and people who are calling in for help, and how as humans we're able to connect with each other. So I'm there. I had a couple of the original t-shirts for Within the Trenches, and I was giving them away. And I remember these two guys walking by, and I had seen them before. I had seen them taking pictures and film and everything else. And they walk up, and one of the dudes goes, "Check this out. True stories from the 911 dispatchers who lived them." And I walked up and I said, "Hey," I said, "How's it going?" I said, I'm actually giving those away if you want to sign up for it." And he goes, "This is all your stuff. This is what you do. Did you design this and everything?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he goes, "Huh. So we're here filming a documentary." And I said, "Oh, that's cool." And he goes, "How would you like to be in it?" I said, "What?" I said, yeah, like what are we going to be talking about?" And he goes, "I'll come by tomorrow because we have another person," which that other person ended up turning out to be my homie, Doug Showalter. So let me go ahead and show this, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. We're coming as fast as we can. I'm going to stay on the phone with you, sir. You're not going to die, sir. Okay? No, I want you to keep talking to me. You're going to be fine. Coming as fast as we can.
We don't get closure. We could take a medical and be performing CPR, and as soon as the ambulance gets there, we pick up the next call. And we never know.
A lot of dispatchers fall into this thing where they don't want to tell people what they do for a living, because what's the first question everybody always asks? What's the worst call you've ever had? And then what do you have to do? You have to relive it. And it's tough. And if you don't talk about it with other people and say, hey, this could be a problem. It is a situation. It is something to think about, that it could come back on you.
Currently, we are sitting within the Charlotte Convention Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, and this is the 2013 National NENA Conference and Expo. It's targeted towards us. You know, there's classes, stuff that we can learn from and build on, and networking. What I like about being, within the 911 community and being a 911 supervisor is that I get to help people. I started this podcast within the trenches. I wanted people to be able to hear more dispatch stories and learn from what we do and why we do the things that we do.
This is the opportunity of a lifetime to start networking with everybody, start talking to people. I mean, I don't know if you saw me at the booth. I am not afraid to talk to people. I will go up and talk to them and then kind of draw them into, you're all part of this thing. When we see these big incidents occur, shootings, something blowing up, terrorist activity, whatever, our first thought is always, wow, I wonder what the dispatchers are going through, because we've all been there.
We're the first responders. We're there at the beginning of the call and at the very end of the call. And we're getting, all the information for all the responders that are going out there. That's where we fit into the whole scheme of things of emergency services.
How we say it, what we say, what we tell them to do. I mean, we can save their life that fast.
It's funny to see that. And I don't know if it's because of the recording, because it's an old one, but you can hear that both Doug and I's voice is like a higher octave. It's kind of funny because I was watching it along with you and I thought, that's not my voice. That voice sounds a little higher. And listening to Doug's too, I was like, that's not his voice. But either way, that was one of the cool things that I got to do when I was there. And so we filmed that, and then I get messages from a lady. Her name is Melissa May. Yeah. And she was messaging me on Twitter. She was sending me DMs and was talking about like the stuff that I've been posting and everything, and that she's a producer and wanted me to call her. And I thought, this shit's fake. Like, there's no way. This is really fake. So a day later, and I'm still getting messages from her, I end up getting a phone call, and I pick up the phone and, I say hello, and it's her. Now, at first I thought, how the hell did you even get my phone number to begin with? And then I thought, oh, I think I have it on my website somewhere. But it turned out to be true. It turned out to be true that she actually was a producer. And not just a producer for A&E. And she just happened to find me through my work and through the podcast, and they wanted to fly me out to DC to film a segment for a show called Panic 911, which I did. It was one of the coolest things. Now, I will say though, it was season 2 and the season finale of season 2, except my part didn't make it. Damn it. My part didn't make it. And I think it's because I screwed myself a little bit because I listened to the tape several times. And then I was reading off, what they wanted me to say and how they do it, because how that show worked was if they couldn't get the dispatcher uh to do the interview, they would find someone else to fill in. And because of everything that I was doing and because of me, being in the profession and everything, because I was still in dispatch at the time, they wanted me to be the one to play that part. But here's the thing, and I told them this when we were in the room getting ready to film. I said, "So I just want to make sure that this ends up coming off well for you guys and just in general for everyone involved." And they said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, you hear my voice and it's pretty deep. And the dispatcher on this call, our voices don't match. So I just wanted to make sure, like, I'm playing this part, correct? Or am I playing like the buddy? Am I playing like the supervisor?" And they said, "No, we'll figure it out. We'll do it." And I said, "All right." So they the one thing that I will never forget is that producer, and it wasn't the one that I was talking about that called me. She was a different producer from the one that I was sitting with when we were doing all the questions and such on camera. But I will never forget the line that she wanted me to say, because it would be the lead in to the episode. Was It was one of those calls that sent a chill down your spine. And I said, "All right, I'll say it. I feel like I have to have some filler in there before I get to that part." And she goes, "Oh yeah, for sure. Just say it how you want to say it." So, I talked about it as if the call was mine. Like because I had heard it so many times on the flight over there. And so I added a few lines, and then I said, it was one of those calls that just sent a chill down your spine." And she's like, "Oh my god, that's it. That's the one." Like I was like, "All right, cool." Either way, we were there for just a few hours. It was like just in and out, man. Like I flew in, excuse me, I flew in, filmed everything that I had to film. We had lunch, and then they flew my ass right back. Like it was, yeah. There was no like multiple production days or anything like that. They just flew me in, flew me out, and they said, "We'll let you know, everything. We've got everything that we need. We'll let you know when it airs." I was like, "All right, cool." So a couple days before it aired, that producer emailed me and said something to the effect like, "You know what? You were absolutely right. Your voice is way deeper than this person, and we should have filmed more." Like I'm assuming to be like the supervisor or something like that. So when the episode came out, it was just the victim and one of the officers, I believe, who was talking about it. But I was like, man. But either way, it was a cool experience. It was a very cool experience. And I'll always have that. So, we end up moving forward, and like I said, I spent all that time there, and then the president of the company that I ended up going to work for, I'm putting some stuff away. I think I had just finished an episode with someone, and I see the president of that company walk up or walking towards me, and I thought, "What is he doing here?" Okay. So I start putting some things away, and because it was already going to be towards the end of the day for the conference, and he walks up, he says hello, and I say hello back, and I said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "You got meetings or something?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I have a few meetings," and I said, "Oh, that's cool, that's cool," and he goes, "Actually, no, I came here to see you," and I said, "What?" I said, "You came all the way here from Indiana just to see me, little old me?" And he goes, "Yeah, actually. Um, what are you doing for dinner?" And I said, "Whatever you're doing, sir, because obviously you have something that you want to tell me or talk to me about." And so he told me where to meet him after the day was done. We end up going to dinner, and he offers me a job. Offers me a job to work on the private side of 911. And he said that because they found me through the podcast, they were going to continue to push and support everything that I do, from scholarships to whatever that I wanted to do while working with them, because that's how they found me. And they thought it was not just a big thing that I was doing, something that they wanted to be a part of, but something that they also believed in. So it was cool to have a company like that reach out and believe in what I'm doing. And there's been no other company since that one who has believed that much in what I am doing. Now, don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted. There are other companies that have come along, but to actually push and support and show it, that's been that one company. And I will always be grateful to them. Now, I had, I asked, like, can I have a couple weeks or so, like, to think about this? And he goes, "Of course. Of course." And I said, "Okay." And I remember calling the family and stuff later on and being like, "Hey, we got to talk when I get back." I was like, "I just got offered a job." And it wasn't just that, it was going back to dispatch and talking with all of them, because immediately I felt like I was betraying my family. And they pretty much were the ones who convinced me. Were like, "You know what? Choose you, because also everything that you're doing is going to help everyone. Just don't stop. Just keep doing what you're doing." And I finally came to the conclusion, was like, "All right, I guess this is going to happen. We're going to do this." And I come into dispatch the day that I'm going to put my 2 weeks in. And prior to this, I would come in and jokingly walk into my deputy director's office and say to her, "This is it. This is the last day. I'm done. I cannot handle this anymore. This is it." And then we would laugh it off, and then I would go to work. But on this day, I shut the door and I sat down. And she looks up from whatever booklet she had at the time. I don't remember. She was reading something from some book. And She goes, "So is today the day, Ricardo? Is today the day that you're done?" And she starts laughing, and I just kind of chuckled. And I said, "Well, I'm sitting down and I shut your door." And she goes, "Shit." She goes, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm actually serious this time. I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice." And she goes, "Well, I I knew something like this was going to happen sooner or later when you started doing what you were doing and it really started to pick up. I knew that we wouldn't be able to hang on to you because you're moving on. You're doing these big things for the profession and it's needed." So I just kind of sat there and I said, "Yeah, thank you." I said, I love it." I said, I love being here too." I said, "But I think there's more and I need to do this. I need to explore this." And she goes, "Well, I wish I could have talked to you sooner, but you kind of beat me to the punch." And I remember thinking, "Oh shit, was she gonna fire me?" Like I said, "Wait, what? What?" And she goes, "I wanted to get to talk to you first." Now, let me say this before I say what I'm going to say in the continuation of the story. This person, who was my deputy director at the time, was my trainer, my very first trainer. I had 3 or 4 of them, but she was the main one in the beginning. And we were really cool. So, we kinda some of us really had, that bond and everything. So it was hard for me to tell her, like, I wanted to cry, like, seriously, I wanted to cry because she had been with me since the beginning there at that center, and we had always been cool and stuff, so it was hard to tell her this. But then when she said that, I thought, "Oh, damn, they were gonna fire me." And, I said, "What do you mean I beat you to the punch?" And she goes, "Well, just 2 hours ago, I put in my 2-week notice." And I said, "What?" I said, "No shit. Are you for real?" And she goes, "No, I'm for real." And we high-fived. She's like, "I'm gonna go head up HR over at the sheriff's department." I was like, "Damn, dude." I was like, "Well, congratulations to the both of us then." It was something. I was not expecting that at all. Was not expecting for for her to say that she was quitting too. Oh, it was crazy. But we end up getting to those or going through those last 2 weeks. And I don't want to make this a downer or anything, so I'm just going to say though that those last 2 weeks, if you've heard me talk about my story, I talk about what it was like in the beginning. And that if dispatch was a gang, I was getting beat in. Well, in the same sense, those last 2 weeks of dispatch, if dispatch were a gang, I was getting beat out because I took in those last 2 weeks some of the toughest calls. A lot of suicide calls, a lot of domestics, and even one that became one of my I Am 911 stories. And it was one that made me second guess like everything until I came to the conclusion that there was nothing that I could have done. But it took me sitting there for about 30 or so minutes. Luckily, there was time. And there was enough of us on the floor for me to be able to do this as the supervisor as well. But to like go through the map that we had there, this big ass map, looking at where this call was and looking at where it ended, how much time, like I went through all of it. Just because I needed to know that I didn't leave anything to chance. I mean, it wasn't my fault. But like a lot of us, we blame ourselves, right? Like, what if I could have done this? What if I could have done that? I could what if it all I want, but it wouldn't have mattered. It would have had the same result no matter what. There was nothing. But it was tough. Those last 2 weeks were tough. But even with how tough it was, I wouldn't change a thing. Would not change a thing. So we get to my last day in dispatch. And I wanted to work a 1P to 1A shift because I wanted to be able to work with the morning crew and my team going out. And then, get out at 1 a.m. and just drive off into the sunset, so to speak. It's the middle of the night. But I started out on main phones. And I remember when I came in that day, I walked in and I stood in the lobby area for a few seconds. And then I walked into the main hallway and I just looked left, looked right, just taking mental pictures in my head of everything. Starting to take phone calls, getting messages from deputies and troopers and city PD and all. And people are like, can't believe you're leaving, man. It's the end of an era. We had so much fun. Don't be a stranger. All that good stuff. And then when my team came in, I ended up switching from main phones right to the directly on the other side, which was main radios, main law enforcement radios. And because I figured, might as well. Let's work radios too. And I've got all my homies that are working on that side. And again, messages going back and forth. I'm like, dang, man, I can't believe this is happening. This is my last shift. And then and then the person who was supposed to come in to relieve me at 1 a.m. got sick. So she called in and she's like, I am so sorry. I know this is your last shift and I am so sorry. And I said, dude, don't even worry about it. It is all good. So we get off the phone and one of my partners, Whitney, is to my left on backup phone and radios. And she goes, Ricky, are you not going to call? You're not going to go down the list for overtime? And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to have anybody come in for these last 4 hours. I said, besides, this is my team. We're a team. I will take it. I'm going to volunteer for it so that nobody else has to come in. So in true dispatch fashion, my last shift was a 16-hour shift. Yep. I volunteered for overtime. Because, I figured I live like 45 minutes away from home. And if I were leaving, it'd be almost 2 in the morning. There's only a few more hours. Like, why not? I'll just do it. And again, it was my team. I wanted to go out with my team. And also we had planned to do like a little tailgate at the end of the shift. Um my team, which I love you guys. I will always be grateful to you. We had steak and eggs. It was the best. It was the coolest. So one of the other things that I'll share here as we get go into the wrap up of this. I'm sitting at radios, and this is one of those stories where it's like, be careful what you wish for or what you put out there, or it's like saying the Q word. I'm sitting at radios, and we are talking about my career. And I said, there's one type of call that I have never taken. And, kind of, oh, shucks, that I never got to do it. Because I think I could do it. And my team members are all like, my partners go, so you might not want to say that because, I mean, you're putting it out there. It's going to happen. And I said, there's no way. There's no way. This specific type, no, there's no way that this would happen. Not with the time that I have left. And it was like 45 minutes left before the shift was done. And they said, well, what type? And I said, a medical where I have to translate Spanish. And I start laughing. And a little while later, phone rings. Partner Jill on main phones picks up. And I hear her saying, un momento, un momento. And I was like, no way. And I look over at Whitney and she's like, you see, bro, I told you. I said, no. And so she puts the person on hold really fast and she starts laughing. And I said, man, you got me. You had one of the officers call up and she goes, no, you need to take this. And I was like, oh my God. So I pick up the phone and sure as shit, it's a medical and I had to translate Spanish. I thought, what? It's like, you've got to be kidding me right now. But it ended up being just that. It was a medical and I had to translate. Now, ultimately, the guy didn't get transported because I don't know, EMS figured he was having like a panic attack or something, and he was fine. Like the dude didn't want to go anywhere. He was just freaking out, but he was having difficulty breathing and everything. But he was also in a place where he had no idea where he was at a friend's house. They were all drunk and passed out. He's intoxicated, but he wasn't passed out like everybody else, obviously. Luckily, I knew exactly where he was because he was in an area that I basically grew up in. So I knew exactly where he was at. We got everybody out there, and it ended up being just fine. But after the call, all I could think was, no freaking way, dude. No freaking way. What are the odds? You put it out there, shit might just happen. So, excuse me. I'm sitting there and it's getting close to time. And I had been trying to think of what I was going to say as my last transmission. And when I was on radios and it was the middle of the night and nothing was going on, we would do things on the radio like, say, meow, giggity. We would go like make the noise from like a portable and we central to K91. Central, go ahead. This is so stupid. And then of course we would do like the sniff, like someone would key up "Troop," and just sniff, and then like I would "Troop," sniff back. So I thought, you know what? I am going to try to throw all of those in my final transmission. And also, we wanted to time it so that it was at 420. And to my homie Whitney, I love you, dude, and I will always be grateful for you because of what I'm about to put on the screen right now.
Elegant Central to all stations and units. My 8 years here has come to an end now. It has been an excellent experience. Giggity and Godspeed. It's been a pleasure and an honor working with all of you. I'm out. 420.
420. Hoorah! I know. Oh, where do you start?
Oh yeah. My final transmission, I will always have it. And again, Whitney, thank you so very much for that. Um right there at the end, you can't tell, but right as I was unkeying, getting to the end, I started to get emotional, and I mean, I was sad. Like that that was my family. Those were my peeps, and they always will be. Um, but yeah, the person who goes, "Oh, where do you begin?" or something like that. That was Deputy Arnsman, and I remember he had gone in to say goodbye to me and stuff, and that dude was funny as hell. He was one of the ones that I did the ride along with. He was the one who ended up telling me or asking me if I wanted to get Yardbird for dinner. And I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. I was like, Yardbird? And he's like, chicken, bro, chicken. He's like, you definitely are not from the farm. I was like, nope. But it was a cool experience. And then the last picture I took that next morning, because my brother was with me, I ended up going to pick him up and bringing him back so that we could have those steak and eggs there in the parking lot. But we were leaving and I stopped and I ran out. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I need you to come here with me really quick." And so he gets out of the car with me and I had him take this picture. Oh man, that was a long time ago. Definitely have more hair, that's for sure. But there I am. Last picture, last day in dispatch. I mean, I have other pictures because I've gone back to visit, but this was the main one. This was the one. And then we got in the car, and I remember when I got in the car, I don't know that I've ever said this before, but I remember when I got back in the car, right before I put it into gear, I broke down. And I remember my brother just kind of patting me on my shoulder. He's like, "It's all right, dude." It's like, "You did it. You did everything you could to help people, and now you're going to continue to." And then we drove off, and I was quiet for a while because I just thought, "Wow, that was it." And I was, and I still am, and always will be proud of all of that time in dispatch. Everything that we did, every call that I worked, every big incident, to everything now, helping people open up and share their stories and getting them out there to millions around the world. That's me. And that's just part of my story. So I want to thank all of you for being here with me tonight for open mic. I'll probably talk a little bit about this during the coffee chat tomorrow morning, but either way, this is what I wanted to do for open mic live tonight, because again, it's this coming Wednesday that is my 13th anniversary of being out of dispatch, specifically out of dispatch, but I've been in public safety ever since that time as well. That's over 2 decades now. Holy shit. It's a long time. But when you're doing something that you love and you believe in, and people believe in what you're doing as well, it doesn't seem like a lifetime. It's just an amazing experience, and I wouldn't change it. So thank you all. Thank you for your support over all these years, and thank you for everything that you do in this profession. And also, if it wasn't for all of you, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. You are all my why. So again, thank you. I hope you have an excellent night. And for those who are watching and listening, if you have any comments, questions, you ever want to be a guest on the OG flagship show Within the Trenches podcast, you can simply go to links, and that's links with 2eyes.co/IAM911, and you'll find everything there. Email, social media, where to hear the latest episodes of Within the Trenches podcast and the Imagine Listening podcast, the link to set up or schedule an episode with me. Whether you are new to dispatch, seasoned, or retired, I've been doing this for over a decade. It is my passion, and I would love to share your story to literally millions around the world. So hit me up there. Also, the Imagine Listening books, you can find them there, the free link to the Trenches community, and then also any podcast dispatch merchandise, you can find it all there, links with 2eyes.co/IAM911. And, this can be seen on Facebook, YouTube, X, as well as Instagram, and the flagship show on LinkedIn. And then for any clips from the podcast, as well as IAM911 stories or Imagine Listening sessions, all of those can be found on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube, as well as TikTok. And then to listen to the podcast 24/7, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, and withinthetrenches.net. Have a good one, everyone. And we will see you all in the next one.